Okay, so today we're talking about mental health.
With a special guest.
A very special guest, Torey Martin, also known as Abdul, the most craziest guy in the east of London, and that's why we brought him here. I'm just joking. Anyway, nice to see you, my friend.
Likewise, man.
Good man. So we're going to be this is going to be like what we call freestyling. We've got a little list of things to discuss, which I haven't showed you yet, have I? I've just been typing away. I would like to do things like, I missed out the hip hop genre. I wasn't able to get on there and do the bad the Eminem style,
Indeed.
You know what I mean? So I thought okay, the best I can do is like on a freestyle talk. It's not the same, but if Nick put some music on the background,
I'll be boogieing.
Yeah, I'm sure we could actually make it like.
Should I?
Yeah, I think you should. Then it'd be like a rap.
Sit down.
It'd be like a rap.
Put my guy on the spot.
It'd be a rap and knowledge at the same time. But we're freestyling. So, the general talk on mental health and how Shilajit aids in compared to Big Pharma is one of the things we're going to discuss. Torey, what have you got to say about that?
From my understanding, Shilajit being a natural resource from the earth compared to Big Pharma. Shilajit is known as a homeopathic medicine compared to Big Pharma. Big Pharma is not natural from the earth, it's man-made. And man-made medicines usually have side effects that can cause other illnesses. Yes. For example, when you take sertraline, for example, as a medication for depression and anxiety, you'll find that you will become a little bit more depressed than you would have before taking it.
And what's that medicine called?
Sertraline.
And is that an antidepressant or antipsychotic?
Yes, antidepressant and anti-anxiety as well. Oh, okay. So it does both. Okay. So I find that you become even more tired. You become erratic sometimes. It can cause different behavior, different behaviors in the body. It depends on the person's chemical structure in the body. So everyone's different.
Is it a prescription drug?
Yes, it is. Yeah, okay. Yes, from the doctors.
Okay, so you cannot just buy it from the.
No, you can't over the counter now.
So that's why you act the way you act.
Indeed, I do. So what I found is that with Shilajit now, I've taken Shilajit myself, and when I was feeling a bit depressed and feeling tired, and when I had low testosterone, because I was speaking to someone this morning in the sauna that with men, when he's depressed, his hormones for the testosterone drops, his depression rises. So to actually tip the balance, you need to increase the testosterone and deplete the depression, because depression depletes and natural things appreciates in abundance. So the Big Pharma as a company, its entire goal is to make money whilst we get sicker. So they give us food that causes depression. As they already researched that the stomach we have 3 brains in our body. Mm-hmm. One in our stomach, one in our heart, and one in our head. So when you eat the wrong food,
yes,
which generally there's many out there in the supermarket, we will feel depressed, we will feel tired, we will feel anxious as the news goes around us and everything. So when you actually get prescribed these medications just to combat depression, you become even more depressed, which is ironic. Yep. And you keep going to the system. And what happens, GPs then push out the drugs to the patients, then take the drugs, get even more sick, like in the heart, like in diabetes, from antidepressant tablets. So some people report diabetes comes with kidney issues, it comes with high blood pressure. Yep. So now you have you got one patient that's repeating 3 different values: depression, diabetes, and heart, actually, yes, and 4, high blood pressure. So we have these issues, but the easy to solve that is, again, Shilajit. I'm not trying to promote Shilajit because I've used it.
How was it?
Well, it helped me in my testosterone increased. I became a lot more manlier, as the word goes. Well, I felt more stronger. I woke up with a heart on in the morning. That was fun. Yeah, it was.
I can relate.
There you go. Exactly,
Nick definitely can relate. I have no comment. It'll be dangerous.
Wife was more happier.
Until she sees us recording.
Indeed. And I didn't feel depressed. I didn't feel anxious. I was fine. I felt more myself. Felt more in tune with my thoughts and my ideas and my emotions. It was not like I had a conflict inside myself in a mental sense of the word. Yeah. And I felt more. What's what I'm looking for? Like I want to try new things. I want to do different things. So that
More ambitious.
Yes, it really did. And as a result of that, it caused me to try to open this new business I'm trying to run now, which is for Blaze Break. It's to
Give us the
support
name,
Blaze
give us
Break.
your Instagram, give us your website, etc., etc.
It's not set up yet, all of it yet, so it's still in the works. But in a moment, I'm just reading up the I'm doing the
What's it called again?
Blaze Break.
Blaze Brick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what it is, it's to support busy people who are going through burnout syndromes or any kind of anxiety and mental health issues at that workplace. So to increase productivity and help them and support them through that.
So do you believe in burnout?
Yes. Yes. So sometimes people are overworked or underappreciated. They tend to feel burnout. They don't have that support in place in the workplace in most cases, or entrepreneurs even, because they don't have support as well because they're by themselves.
Yeah. To be fair, I have mixed feelings about burnout because it's all about like discipline.
I understand.
And exactly for them viewers who, obviously not me, of course, but do you want to just describe burnout?
Burnout works in various forms, very different people. So one will be you go to bed late at night because you can't sleep because you're worried about your task ahead of you. One is procrastinating. You don't want to. You have a task and you like doing a meeting with a client or doing a project or whatever it is you're supposed to as a work. You don't want to do it because you're afraid. You have anxiety, or you eat too much, or you eat less of what is good for you, or you don't want to work out. You want to do nothing. It's similar to depression and anxiety, but not the same. Depression and anxiety is more extreme. Burnout is the precursor to depression and anxiety. So if you can catch burnout before it gets deeper, then you can stop depression from actually fully getting you.
Very interesting.
So that's where it starts.
Did you know about that, Nick?
I totally know like the thing about procrastination.
Yes, procrastination as well. Yeah.
Yeah, when you are busy and you have something to do, let's say take some points of this podcast, and you end up doing something else while trying to finish that task. So let's say you start typing and then you hear a notification on your phone, you just go to your phone and end up scrolling through social media.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's a very big thing actually because it goes beyond that as well. There's other segment of burnout which involve people who are skeptical in attitude. So skeptical is a good thing. It can be a very good thing for people who are smart with emotional intelligence. It's not a bad thing, but when I say skeptical, I'm talking at extreme end of it.
So going back to the burnout thing. I thought that was just related to gym, maybe overdoing yourself, and therefore. But you're saying it's like the middle ground before, like precursor of depression. That's interesting because it's it's like the acts that people do or don't do, maybe the thoughts that lead to higher levels of stress.
Yes.
And that's called burnout.
Basically, yeah. So you keep doing it. Is that basically, as the analogy goes, you're driving your car and your fuel gauge is going down.
Yeah.
And what you're doing, you're driving the car on fumes. So your fuel is empty. So you have nothing to give, nothing left in your tank.
So this burnout thing, that's really interesting. Like I've never heard of that before. We're freestyling. I'm thinking, damn, I should have done this burnout. Even Nick knows about burnout. Like he's less than half my age and he knows about burnout. I think it must be a new modern day age word, I guess, buzzword.
No, it's been here for the past over 30 years.
Really?
Yeah, it's been there for a long time.
Basically,
it's just, again, it's a stigma that they use for their mental health as well, so you wouldn't have really heard about it back in the days too, obviously.
Obviously, the word term burnout, but I was just, again, associated more to like, getting tired and maybe is accumulating too much energy towards something and then you sort of burn out, So it's the same thing in the mind, basically. Okay. Interesting.
Mind and body.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. There's different kind of burnouts though. There's parent burnout. There's empathic burnout. Compassionate burnout, which yes. And there's a regular burnout. So these burnouts are different for different roles or different jobs.
So you named a couple of them. Mm-hmm. So how do you actually trying to fix each one of them?
Good question. So regarding parenting burnout, so parents, what they do is when they have children that usually misbehave constantly, the parents are so involved emotionally in their child's life and their behavior. It's as if that when a child misbehaves, the parent that they fail that child as a parent. So the stress becomes like, I'm looking after the house, I'm looking after the kids, I'm doing this and that too much, and it's overwhelming, and the child doesn't appreciate me as a mother or father. I wish I never had this child. I wish the days were these days thought they were coming to mind. I wish that
Shaitan, Satan.
these are the wish, but the what ifs,
The
so
what
to speak.
ifs,
Yes. So they're going in that frame.
So you call that burnout stage still?
Sorry.
Would you still call that the burnout
Very
stage?
burnout. It's an emotional experience that is very overwhelming for that person at that moment. So I can understand why they feel of it. So the wire drop is to understand that and then work through it.
Lies. Satan has basically
Not a lie.
come upon that person, taking over slowly. That's the religious potential description. Okay, so let's go back to the medical description.
It's a Shilajit.
I think it was actually.
It's enlightening.
It is definitely. I could feel it coming on, guys. So, yeah, I guess get ready to jiggy with it, So we will probably play music in between, have a quick dance, and get back to the couch in between. But yeah,
Take that moment.
yes, exactly. So just again, then on that one point we're discussing.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've had good experience from Shilajit in comparison to some medication. How many medications have you tried, or do you know of that are negative in towards mental health or mind health? And then sort of give me a view how Shilajit helped that process.
Right. I remember my mentor who was coaching me once when I was taking these mental health tablets. She mentioned to
How long did you take it for?
I took it back in 2018 to 2020, almost 2 years. Almost 2 years, but not exactly.
And that was for anxiety?
Anxiety and depression, because I had severe anxiety and severe depression to the point that
Until you met me.
I attempted multiple suicides like then. So I had it really bad. And things were going on. I was perceiving my life as a very, very dark place.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to reach out. As a man, I kept quiet and did my own pain, and that didn't help, obviously. But I got help, thank God. However, taking the medication didn't help the situation. It actually exasperated it.
Yes.
So I felt so ill that I couldn't even work because of the medication. And some people may disagree with me in this one, and I understand why. Because as I said earlier, as a disclaimer, everyone's body biologically is different. Some people will go well with their medication, some people won't.
Yeah.
But saying that, the medication does have a side effect that can destroy you. For example, it's a drug called statin. This is not mental health, but I'll prove it to you.
Statins.
Yeah, statin. Statin is a drug that mostly used in America for low cholesterol. 90% of your brain is made of cholesterol. So if you were to lower your cholesterol, you'll now incur Alzheimer's. Your brain shrinks in size. And the cholesterol's job is to plug the holes in your heart that is bleeding internally. So if you're bleeding internally, you want to have high cholesterol to obviously stop the bleeding, internal bleeding, so that save your life.
But there's good cholesterol and there's bad cholesterol, so
no, there's no such thing. The body needs all cholesterol, because cholesterol is cholesterol. There's no good or bad.
Cholesterol is the fats, right?
Yes, it's good for you. Your body needs it. The brain actually needs it. If you mess with it, you'll destroy it. You'll destroy your mental capacity to think and to reason and to remember.
I used to have high cholesterol when I was a kid. Actually, it was very high for my age. It was
your age, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. I had it like 8 years old. Wow. Had a very high cholesterol, and high cholesterol basically plugs your blood, blood circulation.
It does, yes.
So a high amount of cholesterol is not.
But that's did it give you medication statins?
No. It's basically you need to go work out or do like some exercises.
That's natural. So you did it natural way. So that breaks down and then it heals your body and it goes ready to go in your brain.
You meant when you said like the cholesterol thing, you meant with pills and medication.
Yes, pills,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, now I understand.
Yes. So this is the issue. It's like they prescribe you the drugs which can cause a lot of problems. I'm not saying it's all doom and gloom. As I said earlier, it depends on the person's biological makeup.
I mean, then obviously a lot of people just say very clearly, you see them guys in the park shot in the crack cocaine and shot in the selling, you want to call it, the drugs. But then these guys in white robes and white blue shirts, collar shirts, call it what you want, with the ties, they're bigger drug dealers. They're like, just on the business level, their profit margins are huge, man. I mean, the crack guy ain't getting nowhere near as much as these big pharma guys. And literally, it is a drug dealing business that's about trademarked, patented products that, like, when I had a little bit stress up when my firstborn sort of moved out, that put me in, that really took me under for a while, and they gave me some tablets. And when at that stage, that's when I just reached our own Shilajit. We got our own batch, and I literally started taking it, and I was reporting to these guys the level of positivity I was feeling compared to the medicines they were trying to give me was on another level. But I've got these recorded as well, because I started recording them afterwards, and all they would do come is every day to my place with a little white bag. They're trying to bring a doctor for me to take their poisons. Even when I told them it's not working for me, and I said, look, this Shilajit has got so much positivity, it's doing so much good for me. I can really feel it. And I'm actually just starting this business in Shilajit as well. And I was happy to give for 20, 30 people free trials so they could see the positivity. Do you think that they even blinked an eyelid at me? Did they not? They did not at all give even a thought, because they know that this is an organic product that can't be trademarked because it's organic. And literally there was no entrance. It doesn't matter how much I reported, how the severity of my mind health at the time and how bad I was feeling from their medications. They still wanted to sell that to me, give it to me, because it's all part of the business. And I was disgusted and I recorded that, and maybe we can play that if I can find that recording. And I recorded them, and I told them I'm recording them, that I found something organic that's really good, that's helping me to balance my life. And, obviously I believe it's from the high potassium and magnesium levels, and the fact that your circulation is going to be better. So that itself gives a cooling, soothing effect for literally, I would say, majority of people's mind health issues, body health issues, but they didn't care. They didn't care one bit. I mean, I even gave one of the guys a drink to take away, and I believe he got a lot of positive effect from it, because he never told me anything other than that. But did he tell his manager? Did it go up to anywhere to let's look into this so we can help the millions of people under our wing to see if they can benefit from it? Didn't hell go anywhere. So Big Pharma is just big drug dealers who only care about their profit making, and they need to look at things like organic things like Shilajit. Not saying Shilajit is the only thing they can use. I believe Moringa is very good, ashwagandha, but yeah, lion's mane. There's quite a lot of organic products that are really good for the mental health. Obviously, we're here focusing on Shilajit. I think Shilajit also, the one downside of Shilajit, it has a high level of testosterone. The high level of testosterone can make people who are known as neurodivergent, whose brains are not new, that can give them a rush of energy, and that can shake the brain a little bit. I experienced that a little bit, and I read about that. So, but that's only the initial stages. And that comparison to the comparison of the Big Pharma drugs.
I have a question for you. Taking the fact of we're talking about mind health and soul, do you believe that the story you told us with the doctors coming here and you telling them that you've tried all of these medicines and only Shilajit has helped you get better? Do you think your mind has to, did your mind take a part of that? Because you know what they say, right? A biggest improvement to your mental health is your mind. And all of these medicines that they give you suppress the mind. Do you think it's your mind that actually helped you more than the Shilajit, or is it the Shilajit?
I would go back to that point of neurodivergent and neurotypical, understanding those people who have a neurodivergent mind, which means the neuro being the brain, and typical meaning that's the average kind of mind, and then neurodivergent, which is people who might have disorders. I believe that when you take Shilajit with a disorder, it could flame you up a little bit, but once you take it for a few days or a week or two, it will start to balance your brain. And I mean, look, when I talk to the doctors, they give medication with the hope and aim that it readjusts the neural links and the way you think and the way you feel. And then if it goes into a positive level, if you don't get upset or angry or depression or anxiety for a few days or weeks, that you keep taking it on that level, then your brain resets. That's what I mean. So that's the science behind it. But I'm what reset I'm going to be 50 years in prison. That's what I was feeling. It was terrible. But in comparison to Shilajit, me personally, and I'm not just saying because we sell Shilajit, but we get a 6-month sun-dried Shilajit from the highest altitude. When I took our batch, when we started this, compared to the ones I was getting from the internet made me feel about 20-30% better. The Shilajit that we sell made me about 80-90% better. A massive improvement because of the altitude and because of the method of sun drying for 6 months.
Right.
But it balanced me out a lot better and I felt a lot better. And Shilajit is an amazing thing I can't say for everybody because that wouldn't be fair. We haven't done the test left, right, and center, but I believe Shilajit is potentially one of the best solutions for mental health today. Seriously, I believe it's literally, and that's why I wanted the doctors to test it on 20-30 people, but did they? No, they didn't because they don't want to.
Maybe if you pay them the same amount the drug companies pay them,
Then,
maybe they would.
But I think it's not just that you have to go through like 6-figure multiple tests. You have to test the products, and then it's not just testing the products. It takes a lot of testing costs. It's also about patenting. And you can't patent things that are natural and organic. You have to patent things when they're being sort of created into chemical or,
right.
So that itself is actually, just talking about one point now, because that itself is one of the most dodgiest things I've ever heard because you're only going to patent things where every single medication that the pharmacies sell are like tablets. They're mixtures of plants and different chemicals put together because it's now a unique combination of molecules. It's now been trademarked. But otherwise, if their molecules are left organic, like Shilajit, you can't trademark it. That itself is the biggest fraud in this Big Pharma. And again, that's why they won't let you take Shilajit, So just a point on, I just made a note here. Today, in this day and age, it's quite a taboo talking about what I prefer to call mind health. What are you going to say about that?
Mind health.
Yeah, I mean, it's a taboo talking about mental health, mind health. I like to call it mind health,
Well, mind health and mental health actually mean different things. Really? Mental health is mind health. You're being more specific to the health of the mind, to heal the mind from a broken pathway. Okay. Mental health is a broader topic that speaks about both about bad and the good of mental health. Mm-hmm. So the issue we have is we got the taboo of that is that a lot of people are not educated on what is mental health or mind health. Okay, I actually thought it was the same thing. For example, people from the BAME community, particularly, our parents and our grandparents don't understand.
That's Bane from the character, like the bald guy, the Bane community, by the way. Yeah, that's like what's it called again? Bane.
BAME, yes.
I know. Could you just clarify that the Bane for those people who don't know what BAME is?
BAME is the black. BAME is black, Asian, minority,
ethnic
community. Yes, that's right.
He's racist.
Yes.
I'm joking.
Although we're not a minority.
Creating divisions,
Let's go with their little acronyms.
Yes, exactly. So that's
what it is because this is not really educated in the reality of the human mind and how it works, our psyche, if you may. Some may say you're possessed by a demon. Some may say jinn. Some may say different things, and albeit that may be true in some circumstances, in others it's not. It just could be the person is having a mental breakdown and they're having a hard time to cope, and support that they need is not currently present in that community, so they get stigmatized and ostracized by the family, by the friends, by the denomination, or the religious denomination that they're in, and that can exasperate the situation even further.
So sometimes basically people could be accused of the mind or mental health being linked to spirits, jinns,
yes.
versus just problems in chemical imbalance in the brain.
Yes, that's caused by the stomach, actually. All it is caused.
But don't you think maybe if there's a chemical imbalance or wherever, that sometimes the Janata or the spirits will jump on that person at that time?
I disagree.
No?
Because let's separate the two factors before we go forward.
So that's why if I don't get my kebab with my mayonnaise, and if I buy it after 3 p.m., it's not as nice because it goes slimmer and slimmer and the juices come out and I get more angry and angrier. Is that kind of the same thing?
No, not at all. We're talking about, let's put it this way. So if you're talking about the spirituality issue, essence, we can break it down to the most simplest laws of physics. We're talking about energy, vibration, and frequency. These three elements, nothing exists without them. So when your energy is on a low vibration, you're open up to anything negative. When your energy is on a high vibration, you're open to anything positive.
Because energy, vibration, what, sorry?
Frequency.
Frequency.
Okay, so energy is the one that pushes you forward. Vibration is the opening, is what connects to the frequency. So they're synonymous. So when you vibrate at a certain level, the frequency opens up your mind and your soul to a specific kind of energy. And that energy can be a negative one or a positive one. Now, how does it work? Practically speaking, if you watch pornography constantly, you're engaged in a negative vibration, which means you're lowering your frequency. When you're lowering your frequency by watching pornography, you're now doing something which we all know is haram in Islam. But let's put religion aside for a bit and let's talk about the real talk, about everyone inclusivity in the situation. When you do that, your energy will be lowered. And when that happens, you're not opening that door to what? Some would say depression, some would say demonic attacks. And I've seen that you generally will more likely to get a demonic attack in that prescription, because what you're doing is you're lowering your spiritual vibration to such a level that when you leave your house, you start looking at someone salaciously and have a very negative look. You're not going to have a positive influence or communication with somebody in that mind frame. You're going to have a negative outlook on everything around you. It's going to affect you. In other words, it's going to afflict you. So whatever you do is going to be negative. And because you allow that to happen to you, to your own energy, you're not going to attract people who are positive. You're going to detract them from you and attract negative people.
Law of attraction,
and causality. Exactly. So that's the danger of that. Now we've got the mental health now, which is a separate entity on its own. When you have stress repeated over and over and over again, let's say you pull a string. You keep pulling that string. They put the string was so tight that it can't pull any further. And if you keep pulling it, the pressure is so strong, it will pop in the middle. That is stress. So you're stressing the mind to cope to a situation where you cannot handle. Or repeating. What happens? You get mental health. So now the mind is trying to repair itself. And in doing so, it's causing you to feel low mood and fearfulness of the future and negativity of the past. So that's the mind is protecting you. And it sounds really counterintuitive, because if it's protecting, why is it hurting you? It's hurting because it's trying to repair itself. And that's the key. So the analogy goes like this. Let's say your mind is the car and you're the driver. But in this case, because you have mental health, you're not in the passenger seat and the mind is not in the driver's seat. It's driving you crazy. Quite literally. So what happens, you're not in control of your mind anymore. So that makes you feel out of sync with yourself. And that's what depression looks like.
Your analogy is very good, because, if you think about them, analogies can help you. Get in that damn driving seat, man. Kick that brain out.
By the way, do you think stress could also be good on toughening the mind?
Exactly. So yes, there's two kinds of everything. There's two energies to everything, as I just mentioned, the energy. So yes, you're right in the question you asked.
Because I've heard an analogy about, for you to have a diamond mind, you need to put it in pressure. It's
funny you said that. An analogy in Arabic is called fitna. In fitna, the word fitna is derived from the root word of in Arabic called fatan. Fatan. Yes, fatan. Fatan is a process when you heat, when a blacksmith or someone who's smoldering something, and is melting gold, because gold has impurity inside of it. So what he does, he melts it into a high temperature, and then when the temperature is so high, the gold melts and it removes the impurity from the gold, and whatever's in and separates it. That's called the process of fitting. It's called fatan. So we call it fitna as a more broad term. So in a sense, that is stress through trials and tribulations. That's what the Arabic word comes from. So it's a beautiful meaning, although we use it in a more loose term these days.
Fatma.
Yeah, fatan.
Fatan.
Yeah, fatan. Yeah.
So when we talk about all these points, I think this makes the talk of mental health or mind health more fashionable, especially with AI coming up now. I believe that the need for Shilajit is 10,000 times more each day. That was just a small but literally that,
Imagine feeding that Shilajit to your AI and it becomes Robocop.
Robust.
We should feed the AI robot Shilajit. That's actually
really robust.
Shilajit, But going back to the point that it does seem that quite clearly that mental health or mind health or stress levels, anxiety, etc., are on the massive increase, and this seems to be only going on the up, more and more and more and more.
Fun fact: 69% in statistic in UK from 2020 to 2023. 69% people were mental health. 69% of UK. That's staggeringly high.
69%.
69%. And another statistic says that 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 people in UK has mental health or will have mental health.
Well, one's 20%. One's
1 in 4 and 1 in 5.
Is it? That's quite.
They're different surveys.
Do you think COVID played a major part?
Exactly. That's exactly what see. The statistic came from 2020, so you're very all right to catch up to that one. Exactly so.
COVID, Brexit,
Yes.
and now Keir Starmer.
Well, that's a different topic.
And, but at least we talked about before that, slightly unrelated but related.
But yeah,
If the leaders take Shilajit, we talked about in an earlier podcast.
they have more balls to deal with country
Yeah.
properly.
But Trump definitely took Shilajit on that day. His cognitive functions were like,
It's like spider senses.
yeah,
Yeah, or near from a matrix.
Yeah.
Something's wrong here.
And Biden just wasn't taking it. Biden just wasn't taking it, So let's see that other lady she takes over. But yeah, being serious again. So it's sad that it was a taboo. Now it's not as much a taboo, but almost because it's fashionable. And I think a lot of people are embarrassed to talk about it because they want to feel like there's nothing wrong with them, or they don't want to accept there's something wrong with them. But when you just go out there and you literally spend time with the people, wherever that may be, and you literally, if you just observe, a neutral manner, whether you're in a classroom or whether you're in a shop or whether you're I was in Speaker's Corners the other day, and we were just like observing, and oh my days, like there's some crazy people there. I mean, even the godly people, you can see that some of them are a bit twisted. And then there's some demons coming in. Like literally, there's one woman come down there, and she was shouting and screaming, some of the most nasty, horrible things. And apparently, she gets paid to do that, so in order to increase in fiction, something. But the point I'm making is, if you just observe in places, and what I've learned to do is keep quiet more, and that's not easy for me. But I've learned to be quiet a bit more and listen to people a bit more and observe. You actually see the world is getting worse every day. And
that's nice, Marshall, bro. Well done, man.
And, I want to get part of maybe it's 2 or 3 apartments there, bro. Because in Tangier, like right in the holiday area.
Airbnb, innit?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I mean, bro. Exactly. So and if you were interested, bro, you're interested in, put it this way, like the cost to buy and the return on investment on your rent is staggering.
Brilliant.
You can make your money back in 4 years. Well,
4 years.
4 years.
Well, I bought an apartment for like 55 grand. But that apartment, to be fair, is worth about 80, 90 compared to some of the other apartments. If you can get a few apartments, because some of them are selling at the same price. Because football, World Cup's coming in 2030 in Morocco, Spain, Portugal, apparently. And the African World Cup, or what African Cup is next year. So Tangier is hosting all of this stuff. And Tangier has been getting up and up and up more and more. So a lot of French and Spanish people have been buying property there. And that just starts to store the property. Property across the road, which are built a lot better than new. The one I'm in about 20 years old. So the building's a bit more older. But just by size-wise, just by square footage across the road, my property is worth double the money. It makes sense. But the ones across the road are way more lavish.
Yeah, I understand.
You understand my point? But just on pure size, so these £60,000 properties aren't going to be easy to find in the next few months. And it makes sense. If you can grab it, you make it, and then you just look at a £40, £50 a day rental. Do your maths. You know what I mean? Even if you do 80% capacity, you're looking at about 12, 15 grand a year return.
Equity.
Yeah, so 15 grand return on your rent. So if you pay if you even pay £60,000 and you get 15 grand a year, that's 25% return. So it may take you 4 years to get your money back. That means your investment is 25 ROI. If you get a property free 400 grand and you get it, like, for example, because I got it on the cheap market, you get one that's below market value. So whether it's a probate or whether it's someone's selling it cheap, as long as you get BMV somehow in UK, then you add value to it by refurbishing it.
Yeah.
And then you do the Airbnb thing. You can do a 20, 25% return on investment still. If you do your science, you definitely can. Yeah. But you having to spend triple, quadruple the money to get in that scenario in the first place because properties in this country were expensive. You can't get shit for 60 grand. Actually, for 60 grand up north, you can. You know, house up easy to get a good house up north.
Up north, you can.
Yeah.
Not in London.
Yeah. But then to get that Airbnb needs to be in the city. So it's not impossible to do that scenario here, and maybe Greece and all the different countries, as long as you can get that.
Pay for it.
Yeah.
Greece, yeah. I was looking at some houses as a state company. I was looking on the website and I was like 300,000, and it's like a villa near the sea.
Yeah, good price actually. That is.
That's. I mean, he's saying it's quite high for it, but that's not.
No, that's not high.
No, he's not saying that. It was
I was comparing it to houses here.
yeah.
Yeah, you get a lot for it. You get a lot. Exactly.
Plus, Greece is a hot country.
The bottom line is, no one someone rents to go to Greece, let's say Greece or Athens, and then just holiday, and they see a plush place. It doesn't matter. They're not looking at that country, what people earn and what the rental value is. They're just thinking, okay, that's worth £50 a day. Oh, that's 4 bedrooms. That's worth £120 a day, £100 a day. It makes sense. I bring my family there. I'd rather spend £500 in 1 week or £600-700 in 1 week, for 5 people, as opposed to a hotel, which will cost way more than that. That makes sense. So it doesn't really matter. You got to get into people's heads and think, okay, because where I got my property is Malabata, which is the heart of Tangier's beach area, and so that makes sense. Those are
Boston area.
Yeah, it's a proper bus, exactly. So anyway, I know who I bought it from had 2 other free flats they wanted to sell because they were trying to sell their flats to get into a new. They want the money fast so that they'll open some new projects, maybe develop something from scratch. I don't know, but they were quite desperate to sell fast. So if you can get the property under BMV, that's the key word, below market value. Okay, that's the bottom line. So market value there is depending on the building, but it's around about double what I've paid. So in reality, I wouldn't pay £120,000 for it, and then I'd rather think something back in the UK. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is, yes, you've got to have an eye for it, and obviously God's going to bless us a little bit. But these kind of opportunities...
How did the idea come to just buy a property?
Just like, I told you I was a postmaster. And I was compensated from some things. So always I don't want to see the money just rinsing away. And so my worry was, what if I keep spending money for the next year? I have nothing left. It makes sense. Or 2 years. So I thought, let me just put something into something. So I got something. It makes sense. Because I rent this place. I don't have a property.
No, but the idea of buying a house in Morocco.
Because the truth, one of the best truth is, because you know what? I don't have to do nothing. I don't speak Arabic. My wife does everything. So it was like a stress-free model. I'm thinking, okay. And she's going, yeah. I'm like, hey, cool, baby. Tell him. Boom. That makes sense. The guys put the money in the account. That's it. And that's why I like the model, because my wife has to manage it. And because if you do something here, you have to talk to the guy who's managing your property. You have to talk to him all the time. Make sure that you check your accounts, check all the fingerprint, check the electric, internet.
Our family does it. Yeah, isn't it? So you're good, man. Yeah, Amazing.
Okay, so let's talk about the next point. So this is a point I made that I think we did touch on it earlier. The more technological advancements have occurred in the world, the more the people are getting stressed. But another way of saying that would be less God, more stress. So less God in this day and age, more stress.
Question. Is that a question?
I'll ask Nick first. I was looking at you, but I was tricking you. See? I was like,
trick question.
Yeah, it was a trick question.
Catch me off guard.
So Nick, young man.
I believe that, yeah. Every day the faith gets shorter, the hate gets even more as you observe the world, as you said in the interview before.
So could do a supplement that brings us back to God.
Supplements, like Shilajit, of course.
Shilajit from Shilajit Global.
But no,
bring you back to God.
But no, faith gets shorter. That's the truth, I believe. And people's faith.
ShilajitGlobal.com. Don't forget. Okay, but seriously, seriously, let's take Shilajit.
Take this. This over here.
No, but seriously, I'm not joking, right? If it calms your brain down, then you can pray to God more. Which it does.
Put it like this.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Right, exactly. So yeah, sorry, Nick. So let's get back to the serious point. So I mean, seriously, I think a lot of people touch on this in this day and age. There's a lot of different people touching on certain ways. The more advanced we become through whatever you want to call it, through technology, medication, I call it what you want, the less people are going towards God and the more mental health issues we have. So go on, Nick, you first, and then Martin, Torey Martin, you next.
So yeah, not believing in something bigger than you is, I think it comes back to mental health as well. I'm Christian Orthodox, and whenever I pray or read like books like the Bible, it gives me like a bit of clarity, and it also, that clarity takes away all the stresses and all the bad stuff out of my mind, and it leaves me with a, it's one of the times that I get like very, what's the word, not connected but peace, because throughout the whole day I'm like thinking about this, thinking about that.
You're a young man. Do you ever think about MC Hammer?
MC Hammer?
He knows what I'm talking about. Do you ever think about MC Hammer?
MC Hammer, who's this?
See?
Sorry,
We got to pray just to make it today. We got to pray. It's a rap song, famous rap song. I think he was Orthodox. I think he was. Yeah, he was a preacher. We got to pray just to make it today.
He's a preacher.
I think,
Just to
I
make
think
it today.
the Shilajit is kicking up.
It's super boosting me. Yeah. So, I mean, right. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, MC Hammer. We got to pray just to make it today. But my man's become a gangster in between, and he sort of like, he was a bad man actually. I had some interviews that actually MC Hammer was a bad man. But let's not go into that. But the point is, what MC Hammer was saying, but you obviously remember MC Hammer.
Of course.
Obviously, I know you used to sing to your wife, you can't touch the...
Oh, it's that guy.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, I've seen like in a video that he was like apparently a big gangster.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He was like, he didn't look like he was, but
yes,
he was.
bad boy. Yeah, and then because he started to do from church rap to apparently gangster rap, but the gangster rap thing didn't really work for him. I loved the guy when I was young and more foolish. I was probably 12, 13, went to his concert. And yeah, I think he was in my boot when he followed me and getting in that car. You gotta go see MC Hammer too, innit, bro? Yeah, I know. So, but yeah, I mean, like, just on the point, was he right? Do we gotta pray today just to make it today, mentally speaking?
I have to say yes, he is right, because as you just pointed out earlier, as we get advanced in technology in today's world, in all aspects, communication to in its various forms, which is a great thing for humanity in the past 350,000 years of our existence. This has been we've been more connected than ever before. But the downside is that we're losing our humanity in the process. Yeah. We don't communicate as we are right now.
Sorry, what's that? I saw something coming in. I think Nick's going to show a picture of MC Hammer taking Shilajit. MC Hammer is on a Shilajit. So that's, sorry, we didn't get that. Is that, yeah? Okay, yeah. MC Hammer takes Shilajit from ShilajitGlobal.com. Sorry, I had to take that point. Sorry, yeah. So MC Hammer takes Shilajit from ShilajitGlobal.com. MC Hammer. Right.
So essentially, basically, to pray is to reconnect to oneself and his God. And the importance of that is to raise a vibration on a level. So as we know, if you don't ask, you won't receive. And pray is all about asking. As you're asking, you are allowing yourself to be vulnerable to a higher power. And that reception between you and the higher power becomes a higher vibration in your body and mind and soul. When you do that, you let go of all the pressure, the stress, the heartache, everything that's in your life. It just melts away for the moment, and you become cleansed. And that feeling, you can't buy that.
Just for that moment, though. By the way, you know, afterwards you get back to square one.
True.
But hope that moment lasts longer and longer is the point, right, bro?
Exactly. So the problem is, it's a noise. Yes. So it quietens the noise of the mind and the environment. The phone, the social media, the TV, the computers, your family, your friends, your community. This noise, just quiet the noise down. So when you quiet that noise and by praying, you're now focused on one entity, and that entity is your Lord, your God.
Or the nutshell conclusion was, the more we've gone away from God, and the more we've gone away from extended family living and living in sort of, you know, brothers and sisters not living together as opposed to living in separate houses, and the more we've gone away from God, the family unit being stronger together, the family unit divided, kind of compete with each other, and either way, you know, when God is not in the picture as much, that the world starts to stray and stress starts to occur. You know,
I agree, because there's two factors to that point. You just said And I appreciate that. So what he said was the fact that if you don't have belief, the cultural belief in your family and your community, you become a godless community, and a godless community is rife with various sins, as we're going, and sins is again equated to low vibration, as we can clearly understand.
I guess that's where the family unit links to God, because though it's not haram to live individually, God does advise to live in unity, eat in unity, because as a community, because that actually is what God loves more, Allah loves more. It's not a sin to live alone or have your own home, but it invites that division between loved ones, and that invites sort of stress, that invites the rat race, and that ultimately invites bad mental health or deteriorating health of the mind.
His sister, she didn't have an extended family as such. Her husband was abusing her. They had quite a few kids together, and she reported to the police eventually for help, and they moved away from him, and she's in hiding. So, had she had brothers and mother and father around her, that situation would have been resolved one way or the other. But because she had no one, the best person to call was the police, and in doing so, she had no money to feed her kids. She struggled by herself, and there's no support coming from anywhere. So you can see that having a community that stick together as a family does support in all aspects, and this is what religion does. It builds that focus, that connection, because obviously a person who believes in God, persons plural believe in God, will all stick together as one against anything, against any ties, and build that community together.
Families taking Shilajit, it's all over, man. I mean, they're going to start taking over, start making big businesses, and big things are going to happen. But yeah, jokes aside. So yeah, more God, less stress. I think we all agree whether we're Muslim, non-Muslim, and I think statistically everyone can see that through, I was saying earlier, the sociology studies clearly show that you don't have to be a religious person to understand what I'm saying. Religious and social studies clearly stipulate the more we've gone away from God, the more society is in stress.
So Shilajit in itself helps the human mind to calm itself. That's right. And obviously it's a natural product made by God anyway. So
that's a good point.
Let's look at the aspects of this for a minute. So you take Shilajit when you're stressed out. When you're stressed out, your mind is extremely loud. Yes, you can pray, but you need to pray. I found this to be true. When I was praying, when I was under anxiety and depression, I couldn't focus on my prayer. I was just doing it because it was an exercise, a yoga exercise to do, because I just had to do it. I didn't want to. So when you start taking supplements like this to calm yourself down a little bit better, to give yourself a little more focus and control, to reel that wild horse in, and tame it where it needs to be, then you can actually pray a prayer with more khushu or concentration. And that feeling of doing that will give you a great feeling.
Riding the white stallion, then, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, so it gives you a sense of a oneness between you and your maker.
Yeah.
That concept. So it's not that you're selling; it makes sense. Because if you don't have a calm mind, you don't have a calm soul.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I think we hit on that point. Less God, more stress, more mental health, etc. Okay, so. Next point, that's just my new way of cut. Next point, Big Pharma profiting murderers versus organic heroes. Now that's something similar I said to somebody I know who is a pharmacist, and we was meant to do some kind of podcast, but she didn't actually like that statement I was making, and we actually fell out over it, to be fair. I don't want to go into too much detail. I'm not here to highlight her, but to me it was quite upsetting, because my experience was my mother being passed away, Allah bless her soul, linked to the pharmaceutical not from the cancer therapy, oncology, and I just seen and read and I saw it firsthand how they just pushed and pumped that chemotherapy, radiotherapy into a left, right and center, and they literally, I don't care what anyone says, they knew it wasn't working, but yet they give it over and over and over again. That she didn't take the therapy, she would have lived potentially a year longer. We were a little bit tricked into it because my father, before my mom realized we realized my mother had cancer, my father was cured from cancer from chemotherapy. But my father had tonsil cancer in the throat area, and that was discovered at stage 1. At this point, we didn't know stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, whatever. After my mother we're thinking, okay, so my dad got cured. So my mom's colon cancer, which was discovered after my dad was cured, a month after that, which she potentially had that cancer way before my father, but, you know, and she was telling the doctors of certain things, but the doctors kept saying it was something else, but I don't want to go into that. The point is that I saw them just literally giving her operations and medications and radiations. In America, it's a big business, apparently, you know, that these oncologists love to give out medicines, therapy, and they know it don't work. Actually, there's a very famous, you can look it up online, there's a very famous statistics and oncologists being interviewed around the world, that the simple question was something on the likes of, if that oncologist, the cancer doctor, him or his family were to get cancer, would they take the radiation and chemotherapy that they give out to their customers? And 90% of them said no. So now, when I tell this, I'm talking about based on that point. That is one point, especially in the cancer world, that you can call them like your murderers. Then, if you're giving something out, you know, statistically not working, then, you know. So I think oncology is a clear place where you can see that. And I think there's other places where you can definitely see a similar scenario, but not as strong as potentially in oncology. And I think other parts of Big Pharma are absolutely fantastic, amazing. A&E is awesome. Some of the therapies that they do, some of the medications. But like I tell my family in general, I listen to 50% of the doctor for the reasons just given, because I feel like profit is their key thing. And therefore, if it meant something like this, what we just touched earlier, for the mental health industry to give it out to the patients, they won't give it because it doesn't make enough profit. So to them, it's about profit. And they don't care if people die. And to have that conversation with this other lady I was going to have a conversation with, she wouldn't entertain the conversation. First of all, because she was actually still a pharmacist, but going into naturopathics. And we we didn't go ahead with the conversation because she didn't like that strong word. Like, I'm just using because, you know, strong titles get people to watch our podcast, right? And the bottom line, if I could show some truth in it, which I've just given an example where they killed my mother, and you can go on, especially looking at USA, and you can see that in USA they feed this left, right, and center, because every single radiation and chemotherapy that's given out, they make big money, and they don't care about the end patient as much, you know. And let alone look at things like cannabis oil, all these different vitamins you can get. And there were so many different things, you know, the almond inside the apricot, it's quite bitter. Even that has effect on cancer. Baking soda, etc. So anyway, going back to my point, it's a very strong word, but Big Pharma, you know, being a little bit murderous, which is quite a strong statement, versus organic heroes, and organic hero is obviously just organic supplements which are not trademarked. It's a bit of a strong statement to make, but what do you think? Sorry for the long
I
introduction.
have to agree with you because Dr. Sebi was assassinated.
Really?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
And now his daughter's in prison because she's now carrying on her father's mantle for 80 years, and she's a young woman.
Mm.
Now, if you look at the aspect,
She's in prison?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you look at the aspect of his teachings, using herbs and medicines to cure cancer, but just so you know, it's illegal to claim you can cure cancer since 1939. It's a law that's been stated, enshrined in Americans in an American institution. It's illegal across the world to say you can cure cancer since 1939, and that happened when a particular doctor actually cured cancer, and they destroyed his work and took it and hid it. Now, you may call it conspiracy.
This is like 20, 30 years into Big Pharma developing, because Big Pharma developed around about that time, maybe it's 10, 20 years before.
When the American Zionist family, a pharmaceutical company, I can't remember the name now. Russia is in the UK, isn't it?
Yeah, Rothschild UK, Rockefeller.
That's it. John Rockefeller. That's who he was. He funded Big Pharma from oil because he realized that the oil is not an infinite product. Although it's not infinite product forever too, because obviously the world's changing in the future. So he envisaged that that would change. So he wanted to diversify his portfolio in finance. So what he did was he invested in pharmaceutical companies.
Yes.
He started that, actually. And now it's a very large global organization.
Yeah.
So it was built to save lives, when instead it's built to save only the rich and elite lives, and kill the ones who can't afford a good pill, like insulin.
Kill, murder, death.
Insulin,
Like I said. So the title isn't that
It's not that. It's
to
not.
jump and cry about, is it? You know?
I don't have an aversion because
No?
I'll tell you one thing. A lot of black
It's
people in
true.
America
Yeah.
are murdered
Yes.
who are diabetic.
Yeah.
They don't have
The
access.
vaccines and the vaccines going around in Africa and India, and what they've created through Big Pharma, Bill Gates, no Gates, bad Gates, get out the damn gate, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? This is clear around the world. I mean, we're talking freestyle. Remember that, we don't have our research in front of us, but you can just do your research. Big Pharma is a damn murderer in terms of its intention. I'm not saying they go out and kill, but they don't care if people die. Their profit is more valuable to them than saving lives. That's the point.
No, how they make the money?
So if they can make money and save lives at the same time, yeah, they'll do it. But if they lose money, they'll not bother saving that life. That's the key point. So that makes them a murderous industry. And you can't even say this to a lot of people, and a lot of people start jumping up and down just for talking about it.
Yeah, well, because you're not insulting that person's life's work.
Yeah.
So I understand that the emotional connection to that work is important to them because they believe in saving lives. They believe they're in it for that reason. Now, knowledge is not spread across from the top to the bottom, as you are aware. So there are a lot of people who are with less knowledge in that information will take offense, and I understand that. And I'm not going to sit there and...
Lady was from the pharmaceutical industry as well, but she was going to naturopathics as well, so she kind of had the best of both worlds. But I thought that was awesome because I'm thinking like, wow, so that 50% I believe in, because I don't care what anyone says, there's still a lot of good in Big Pharma.
Yes.
They're not all a bunch of devil worshippers or this. Far from it. They're good nurses, good doctors. They have good intentions, but they're all kind of part of the same school of thought, which is unfortunately not linked to organic supplements, health, naturopathic supplements as much as it should be. The doctor will say take a bit of honey. He will say don't take this, and he will say a few things that links towards naturopathic healing, etc. But the industry in general they're not there to give that information out in a larger way because they're not trained in that information, let alone they're trained to give out medicines that are trademarked. The same scenario that we gave earlier about the mental health, that they give the mental health medicines as opposed to giving the naturopathic medicines that can help. So it's the same thing, and it is shameful. It's sad.
It is sad.
Very sad.
Look at this. Look at this aspect. You got Shilajit, for example. Back to Shilajit again. People who have blood pressure, who can get heart disease, angina, heart attack, stroke, whatever you call it, that can prevent it.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is take 2-3 glasses a day, and you're good to go. Done.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the doctors will say, no, don't take that, because they can't quantify that this works for their patients. No, they can't. They don't want to quantify.
They don't want to quantify.
That's exactly right.
It's organic. It's organic.
Exactly.
It can't be trademarked, therefore.
Exactly, because it's a natural thing, and they can't profit off it. So precisely. So there you go. So
That itself is like letting people die.
So if they care about your well-being, remember I was just saying earlier onset, everyone's body biologically is different. So some medication will work for some, and some medication will work for some. So if it doesn't work for some, what do we do then? So what do we do? So Dr. Breckman came with this idea. So there's a DNA thing this man came up with. He's an insurance guy who can tell you when you will die.
Shaitan.
No, I'll explain to you scientifically what I mean by that. He can tell you when you will die based on your lifestyle.
Slap him.
You know why? Because he can see your lifestyle into the most minute details. You look at your blood work, your DNA, all of its capacity and structure. Because obviously he's seen a lot of death. He's seen over thousands of deaths over the years in his work. Because obviously people claim insurance based on their death. So he looks at the pattern and says, this is a keyword, pattern. As to why this person died. And the pattern tells him clearly people die because of the fact that they live in this specific lifestyle that caused that death to happen at that time. So what he does...
If he met me, he would start screaming, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. He would say, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, because, he knows what he says to me. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill it. And literally, as he says, he's going to say, I'm going to die. I'm like, why? Then he starts this conversation. Then I kill him. Then he dies. He's right. He's right, basically.
So basically, what he did was he came with the idea. You do this test kit. Hammer is called. It's a specific name for it. So what it does, it tells you if you're short on certain supplements, or you're too much on certain supplements in your body. Because we all take multi supplements in vitamins.
You mean like micronutrients and
exactly.
minerals?
Yeah, those ones. So if we take too much of something, it's not good.
Yeah.
So what happens? We don't know what we're lacking and what we have. So we just take everything. Because remember, our body is different. Each of us are different. So if we can find out until the microest point of what our body needs by doing that test, then you have a very balanced healthy life.
So Shilajit is going to help that a lot, right? Because with its 90 plus or minus micro minerals and nutrients and macro nutrients, etc., will give that body literally everything it needs, including the testosterone, which will help you to have more babies, and the babies will help you to have more life.
And it's good for women who are going through a period. Menopause.
Yes.
Menopause.
Yeah. Pause the men. They pause the men.
Good for that.
Because they pause the men at the time. Yeah. It's called
Do not listen to that sexist nonsense.
I know. Menopause. Menopause. Because it's something changed in my body. Menopause.
So shit is very good for that. It's excellent for women. Big Pharma. There's 1,000 more points to make.
Yeah. Even though, jokes aside, what Mr. Torey Martin saying, my brother's saying here that, in a nutshell, that, like I think we've already said that in a nutshell and in conclusion, that money oversees health when it comes down to the fact that they'll only prescribe trademarked medicines. And trademarked initiatives like chemotherapy, radiotherapy, as opposed to them. Like cannabis oil it's been proven to cure cancer, obviously in God's will. Yeah, and I think the baking sodas help people, there's certain vitamins help people. And I've got a list of these things from years ago, but yeah, you would agree Big Pharma being a bit of a murderer versus the fact that we need to have Dr. Sebi info and knowledge.
Exactly, and I add to that as well. If you didn't, a lot of people may not know this. It's illegal to harvest lion's mane mushroom in United Kingdom. Yes, it is. It's illegal. Now they will tell you openly that's because it's not enough. It's not enough for them, so they want to keep. They want to grow it as an endangered species. If you look at the market, you'll find that there's a lot of lion's mane mushroom supplements, and in Barnes and Holland or in Amazon to buy. They're quite expensive, but what I've learned was when you want to process something natural and powder it down and turn it into a pill form, what is it really? Is it 100% lion's mane mushroom you're taking, or is it laced with something else within it? We don't know. So now you tell me I can't go into the forest and pick it and eat it naturally by itself and get the nutrients you need from that, but I have to go buy it from someone for £20.
It grows in this country?
Yes, it does. It's from the UK.
Okay, really?
Yes, it's from the UK originally. Okay. You can find it in America as well, but in UK specifically, it's legal to pick it.
You ain't talking about magic mushrooms, are we?
Lion's mane mushroom.
Okay.
Which is good for the brain because
it's illegal to pick it.
Yes, it is legal to harvest it. Yes.
Because it's so powerful.
It is very powerful. It actually combats mental health and memory loss. It's powerful.
What are we talking about again?
Lion's mane mushroom.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Right. This is an interesting point that I like to talk about. We can potentially relate it to Shilajit where we can, as many places as we can, and as many different areas as we can, but we'll kind of hold back where we can too. So, different types of psychology and how Shilajit would be used. So that's going back to my point of neurotypical being most people's brain set versus neurodivergent, and people having disorders like, I suppose, bipolar disorder, histrionic disorder, psychopathy. Did I say bipolar? Bipolar, borderline, and just there's a whole load of different psychologies. Now psychology is something I never really believed in much until recently. I thought it was all a bunch of just rubbish until I sort of looked into my own psychology, and I'm like, damn, psychology is actually quite great, except, personally speaking, that they need to implement that element of God and spiritual intervention, whether that spiritual intervention is positive or negative. If they could do, psychology would be a perfect science. But without that, it's not a perfect science, but nevertheless, the descriptives of people's characters or their psychology is very interesting. So again, neurodivergent, neurotypical, having a disorder, not having a disorder, and the different traits. Some of them are just traits, and some of them are basic traits that are so strong in people's lives, it becomes a disorder. Understand me? It creates disorder in their lives. So yeah, just touching on that. Obviously, there's different types of psychology. That means that Shilajit, for example, doesn't mean it will be great for every single person the same way it is for each individual. Some people might want to stay away from full stop, though I don't think that's the general trend. But I'm being honest because we haven't done research left, right, and center. But from the research we have done, Shilajit is really good overall for psychology. But there could be certain mindsets that, as a disclaimer, we may say talk to your psychologist first, though the psychologist probably wouldn't know much about Shilajit anyway. But the point is, I believe Shilajit is fantastic for disorders, but it doesn't mean it's good for every disorder. For example, a psychopathy. Okay, now you can get good psychopaths.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not aware of that.
Never heard of that? Okay, so a good psychopath is that's the inner meaning of psychopathy is someone who has no emotion. So unfortunately, most people with no emotion use that in a negative way, and they get angry, or they have intention in their life. They might marry somebody. A man might marry a woman. He might be psychopathy. He says all the right things to get her, woo her, and then the first few months it's all good. Then suddenly he shows his psychopathy. He shows his real intention, his way. But that's quite a hidden. It's quite very hidden, until it's come up. So what? Basically, I'm trying to say, actually, I think psychopathy and Shilajit might not go together too well. Okay, I mean pure psychopathy, not like borderline psychopathy or other types of psychopathy. I'm talking about pure psychopathy where you have no emotion. So the good psychopath with who it could be, for example, a boss who works for some company or does some charity work, and then all these kids come up to him and say, "Thank you for feeding me, my family. We love you." And he's seen all the positive effects he's done to that family and group or society, and they're crying with happiness, and he has no emotion. He's just like, okay, leave me alone. Okay, I'm not feeling it, but I'm glad you're happy. You might not even be glad happy. That's kind of an example of a good psychopath, if that makes sense. He has no emotion. So psychopath doesn't mean you have to be bad all the time. You know what I mean? It's about not having emotions.
I've seen people who are autistic or are in the spectrum as well. I've worked with people who are autistic who have no emotions. It's still in the spectrum of autism. So I didn't call him a psychopath. I never thought of it until you mentioned it to me now. But it is a spectrum. It is a neurodivergent thing, actually. It's not a normal thing not to have emotions. So yeah, you're right. It is more of a neurodivergent.
Because many bosses have even been known to be narcissists as well. So every psychopath is a narcissistic, but not every narcissistic person is a psychopath. Because they're very similar, but a narcissistic person still has some emotion.
They have emotions.
Yeah. They love themselves. It's all about them, which is psychopath is about. But the main difference of psychopathy and narcissism is that it's the emotional side. I think narcissists have less emotions too. They have less emotion, but the psychopath literally has no emotion. He literally doesn't see no emotion. But this narcissistic person can have he has some level of emotion. You can be described as narcissistic if you have some level of emotion, but it's still all about you. So that's the main difference. So a lot of bosses, again, there's an example of good narcissistic people. Well, maybe, a lot of bosses have been described as narcissistic around the world, leaders, CEOs, etc., So, yeah. Would these people benefit with Shilajit? Let's try. I believe so. But disclaimer.
Narcissism is a very, very interesting term because it's a very old tale from Greece, from Adonis.
From Greece?
Yes.
Nick, did you know that, bro?
The Golden Prince Adonis was the first narcissist recorded in Greek mythology.
Don't talk too much about Greece, man. Nick's gonna shoot you, bro.
It's fine, but anyway, this is actually a fact in their tale.
I'll rub you outside. Mustang was.
So this one, he loved himself. Yeah? Yeah. He loved himself, so he loved himself. Adonis, yeah.
Like the fighter in Rocky Creed.
I remember that one.
And that's the only time I heard that name before.
He's a prince of Adonis, so he's a beautiful prince.
Nick, you know about him?
Did anyone say Greece?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Grease Lightning. You don't know. You know Grease Lightning? John Travolta? Do you know John Travolta?
Greece, what? What is that?
We're talking about Greece.
Yeah, that guy. He's trying to story. Don't worry about it. So narcissism is an old story. It just came to light recently.
You're linking this to Greek mythology?
Yes, I am, because Adonis was the first one we know recorded as a narcissist.
Oh, really?
Yes. He loved only himself. Loved himself so much he actually drowned in a river. What happened was he kept looking at himself in the mirror, and the mirror was shattered. So he looked in the reflection in the water, and he was trying to be with himself. He was trying to kiss himself, and he went into the water and drowned.
What? The water?
Yes. That's basically what happened to Adonis. So narcissism is, the crux of narcissism is literally self-love, extreme self-love. It's not about, so the psychotic doesn't love himself in the same way a narcissist does. The psychotic is bereft of emotions, has nothing, there's no feelings except to survive. Whereas a narcissist, he loves himself. It's about me in all aspects.
Yeah.
And the glorification of self is like they're gods to themselves. So, and there's no one is higher than them. But at the same time, narcissists are very attracted to empath, and people with empathic abilities usually have depression. Now, this gets interesting. People with empathic abilities or hypersensitive people have usually prone to depression or mental health of some sort. So, what is that? How does that work? Back to the term of energy. So, a narcissist would be attracted to an empath because an empath and narcissists are opposite of the same coin. One feels and cares about others. One cares more about himself. So they're both extreme. Fascinating enough. So you find that is, if you give Shilajit to an empath, you only empower them to be more empathic. If you give Shilajit to a narcissist, you empower them to be more confident in themselves. You mentioned earlier that big CEO in America are narcissistic in many ways, right? That will boost their confidence in themselves to produce more work. So narcissism being in big CEO, big Fortune 500 companies like Coca-Cola or JP Morgan, so to speak. Those guys will perform well and having this natural, we call it Shilajit, drinking it boosts the mind.
So basically, it acts like a natural enhancer.
Make him more strong in his work.
It won't change you, but it will enhance
ability
your
to work, perform better. Yes. For the company and the capacity. And as an empath, it would always empath the ability to become better nurse, better psychologist, better psychiatrist, better coaches. Yes. So because people who are empathic usually do this kind of jobs. They don't do calculating work like narcissists do. So it's a bit different based on the characteristics of the person.
So these guys are not good for charity works, and
they can pose as good charity workers because they need that attention. They need to.
They do it for the wrong reasons. Marketing.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's.
You can't tell them off the bat.
Yeah.
They're covert narcissists. So
there's one I read about that's really good for charitable works. That's borderline personality. So borderline personality is that sort of mixture between sort of might be have some depression and psychopathy. Meaning, ultimately, their world is driven by emotion. So their thinking is not sometimes driven through intelligence, it's driven through emotion, and therefore they get extreme emotions. So they can become psychopathy when they're driven to be psychotic, and they can get very angry. And that level of anger could be so fast and quite dangerous because it comes from nowhere. But that same person can also have extreme heavy emotion in terms of if they see some kids in Syria dying, Palestine, Yemen, or just kids on the street, and then the emotion goes deeply strong there as well. And therefore, with having that emotion on the latter, they are very good for, apparently borderline people are very good for charity leaders because of their ability to be empathetic at that time of that emotion that's making them sad, and therefore they'll work towards helping the people. So that's also quite interesting. And
learn about archetypes is important because you understand people in their roles in society. So it makes it easier to communicate with them at a different level. As a salesman, as you're aware yourself, you can't sell a product to everyone in the room the same way because everyone is different. And that goes down to understanding the market, the individually speaking, and how you communicate with that person will allow them to want to buy from you. How do you sell a Valentine's Day card to a psychotic person who has no emotion? Yeah. Well, you sell it. You don't sell the card in the emotional. You sell the card in a way to manipulate, to allure the person he wants. You'll be giving value in understanding that logically, by buying this card, you will get the girl you actually want to get and make her glorify him for his efforts in attracting her to him. So you have to understand the sales. That sales approach is different to a person who's empathic and emotional. So you change your value of communication.
Because a person who's empathetic or emotional would potentially only sell it if they believed in it. If they don't believe in it, they don't see any value in it, they wouldn't have any emotion that's positive to them to be able to sell it. Where the narcissistic person can do the sales whether they like or don't like it because they put themselves in that mode because that's what they're there to do. So it's interesting. But so anyway, young man, Nick, you're obviously a lot younger than us.
Yes. About what? Being a narcissist? About what exactly?
Just in general, we've been saying psychology, being a young guy, and obviously Torey a lot older. And I think when we were your age, we definitely were not thinking too much about psychology. Does that mean?
I do the same kind of things, but I tend to put it on the last part.
In other words, he covers it up and hide it.
No, not like that, not like that. I got a priority list. So
That's good.
I'm trying to.
I'm a Tate fan. That's my guy right there.
Yeah. What do I think about being a narcissist is, first of all, is loving yourself, but to extreme. Because you were talking about it's loving yourself. I think it's like idolizing it, because you tend to like see others as insects compared to you.
True.
So that a narcissist is not always a good thing. It's not always a bad thing as well, but in the general spectrum, it's negative thing.
It's so psychopathy.
I have to say to you, narcissism is actually always a bad thing. There's no one I've ever met has ever encountered a narcissist in a positive light, because they tend to cause destruction and they'll hurt people.
People, they said, I read something about a person with borderline personality and a person with narcissistic personality. If they sit in the same room, they'll actually tear each other's heads off because they won't mix very well. But a person who's got bipolar and with a person with borderline, they can sit in the room very nicely.
Look at that. See, there you go.
Here's an example. You can see.
This guy.
This is a good example.
Yes. Look how good he's sitting in the couch.
That's
relaxed.
Chilled.
I'm definitely on the border.
Look how quick he can change as well. with a single snap.
Asian Hulk.
You don't know the amount of people that are dead behind this couch.
Kids.
Can we show?
No.
Rotate the camera.
That's the next show.
Yeah, it's a serious problem, mental health in society. Narcissism, after one fact though, narcissism wasn't a prevalent thing back in the 90s and 80s going backwards. It's more prevalent since it's the birth of social media.
Yeah, because now people care about other people's feelings. And narcissism it's not a bad thing for you, it's a negative thing for the other people you interact with you. So yeah, it's all about me.
Yeah.
But there is one trait that I've read of and I've even seen. It's called histrionic disorder. So histrionic disorder is when people like to have the attention on them. They just want to be in the limelight, but they're still full of emotion. There's one guy I see on Speaker's Corner. He's let's say a Shia Muslim, and this guy, if you watch him, he's the most histrionic person ever. I used to think you might even think he's psychotic, but if you actually listen to him, he's actually got a nice heart at times. Then suddenly he goes all like crazy, and he really likes the thing. When the light is on somebody else next to him, you see him like change, throw money in the air, start to say some stupid stuff to get the attention towards him. But where you can see he's not narcissistic or psychopathy, because he actually shows a lot of beautiful emotion in between. So he's actually quite crazy.
So in general, do you like narcissism? Imagine if we didn't have our special guest here and we had a big narcissist, and he came here and said, my setup is better. This the table is not good here. The floors are dirty. What would you think about that person?
I'd chop his head off,
Yeah.
cut his legs off, and shove Shilajit in the places where the sun don't shine, put him back together, and see how he talks afterwards.
Descriptive. I hope this is rated 18, right?
This is not 18, this is
R-rated
65 plus.
Wink, wink.
It's a new. You have to have a certain age. Nick, you shouldn't be in the room. But yeah, 65 plus.
So it's all about understanding what emotional intelligence is. And Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he brought that understanding to the world for the first time 1400 years ago. Emotional intelligence is understanding the awareness of oneself in its environment and others around, and others being inclusive in that situation, right? And respecting people for the differences and what they are about, and managing their emotional barometer. For example, if I'm getting upset, I need to understand why I'm getting upset and then work with it and not lash out, so to speak, and create
Control it.
yes. So no, not only control, but you are trying to communicate with yourself and work through it rather than controlling it.
I see. So you can become
Yeah,
a better
positive.
person.
Yes. So basically, then you're creating a positive. And the thing about narcissist people, they don't do that. They don't have emotional intelligence. They can't have emotional intelligence because it's impossible for them. When you offend them,
I think that's again slightly true, but remember that the main key between the narcissism and psychopathy is the psychopathy has no emotion, but the narcissistic person does have some level of emotion.
they have a lot of emotion. Actually, not some level. I'll tell you why. Because I know quite a few more narcissists personally. And narcissism is not born because they just simply love themselves. It's because they come from a background of trauma. So trauma is caused them to become this way to protect themselves. For example, they will buy clothes, a lot of clothes for themselves, to look pretty, to look, appealing to people. You're right about histrionic syndrome. It's very different to narcissism. I've known narcissists, the people they'll manipulate. That's one of the keys. They manipulate only because they don't like the idea of being deserted. They need to have that control network around them to validate them, so they feel important in the eyes of those that control. If they feel they're losing control of that person in their circle, they become very violent, angry, and they use words to pull you down. So when I say they don't have emotional quotient,
Psychopathy comes up.
you could say that, but I won't call it psychopathy. I'll call it narcissistic gaslighting.
I have to go crazy, like mental crazy, and that's psychopathy.
Yes, exactly. That's different, yeah. They're not that extreme as psychopathic behavior. I know another person who has that as well. But narcissism don't do that. They do it more subtly. They will say words that will really rip you down to the point that you feel like you're nothing, you're worth nothing. They don't need to break the walls and shout and insult you. They can give you a look that makes you feel naked. And they have a way of pulling down little by little. Because if you go against them in any way, they will do that to you, without a doubt. And I've lived from that world for a long time, so I understand how narcissist mindset work, and it's very dangerous. In my household, I have one rule. I always say never gaslight each other, because gaslighting is a very deadly tool narcissists use. So what is gaslighting? Basically, it's like saying to you, I'm saying to you, oh, Abby, you just said this word to me that's offensive. You shouldn't say that to me. You didn't say nothing offensive just now. But now I'm making you second guess yourself. You actually didn't say it, but now you have to wonder, did I actually say it to you? I'm not sure. Did I? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. So now I got in your head. I found how to manipulate you. And that, keep doing that to you for a long period of time. You start believing to be true, and then you start becoming less and less of yourself and becoming more of what I want you to be. So now you're now a marionette and control you.
So the conversation of neurodivergent, neurotypical, and disorder. Yeah, I have a little bit of borderline. You could say a lot sometimes, but I like to think right now it's not a disorder. I think the word disorder is something that we have to look at and think, okay, well, if it's a disorder, it means the greater negative of it get the better of you and it's starting to destroy your social life. So if we can have these...
1 second. Do you think like some people use their disorders to excuse themselves from doing something?
I think
something
100%. If it's a fact, if like people who have bipolar, for example, is in a very extreme situation where they've gone down. I've known friends who got bipolar. There's 2 or 3 in particular that stick to mind. That when they're down, like they won't even turn up to a meeting. They lose money. They don't care if they lose status or views, likes, whatever. They don't care because when they're down, they are so down. They ain't popping anywhere. They're not going to show their face anymore because that Down syndrome that they have, not to mix it with that Down syndrome thing, but when they're down, they don't care about anything that goes in their life, and they will allow everything to go to crap.
And you can take one famous example is Kanye West, because he sometimes uses his bipolar disorder as an excuse for his actions, but sometimes he says, I don't have a disorder. That's me. That's me being me. What do y'all think about that?
Interesting analogy. I think Kanye West is right because, as Abid was saying to himself, it's not a disorder. It's not a mental, bad, negative stroke thing that I need to hide in a corner. It's a part of who I am.
Yes.
So accept me and accept what I have.
But whatever trait, whatever psychology it is, if it's linked to potential disorder, the only way you can manage the disorder is by being very self-aware.
Exactly.
You know, if you're not self-aware, I'll tell you the key thing of disorder and no disorder, because if you have a certain psychology, your psychopathy or your borderline or your whatever, if you're not self-aware, you won't know it's happening. You're not aware it's happening, or whether it's outer things or your brain, call it what you want. If you not self-aware, you'll not know it's happening. And then if you don't know it's happening, it will keep happening. And then that's where the disorders come in, because it affects your social life, your marriage life, your friendship life, your business life. So the key thing is being self-aware, putting it in check, and really fighting the imbalance when it comes to you, or shaitan, or the voices, call it what you want, fighting it. And Shilajit from Shilajit Global, or just good Shilajit guys, can really help that, can really give you that calming feeling, give you that good feel factor to constantly think, you know what, I don't want to get angry, I don't want to get stressed over this thing, I don't want to think about it too much, because if I do, I'm going to create disorder. I'm going to mash this room up or mash this face up, and So I think the key thing is being self-aware, and whatever makes you self-aware, Shilajit is a great thing. I feel it makes you self-aware. The main thing is people have different psychologies, but the key word is it a disorder? And I think anyone who's neurodivergent, whether you're borderline neurodivergent or psychopathy or histrionic,
Could you
or
explain
whatever.
to the people what's neurodivergent again?
Neurodivergent is versus opposite neurotypical. Neurotypical is the average person who lives in a way his brain is kind of average. This already talks about. They may have traits of. Everyone has a trait of psychopathy. Everyone has a little trait of borderline emotional. Everyone has a little trait of this and that. Histrionic.
It's basically a scale.
Yes, but when you have something, too much of something, then you're described in that trait. When that trait becomes so strong in your social circle, it becomes a disorder. Makes sense. So it's really about making sure, if you know you have a trait which actually creates your personality, which now people with borderline or psychopathy or narcissism, they have a trait, and therefore they fall in that level of neurodivergent. Their brain, their neuro is diverting away from the typical person. But I think this conversation is a little bit weak in psychology, because ultimately I think everybody at times is neurodivergent and everyone at times is neurotypical. At times, I think to call someone he's neurotypical and this one is neurotypical, I think that's
so. What that
BS.
means is everyone should take Shilajit.
Yes, that is the solution from ShilajitGlobal.com. But no, I mean, real talk, it does help to balance the brain, etc. It does help to the high level of potassium and magnesium, which you only find from high altitude, Shilajit, Karakoram K2 mountains, highest in the world, with 6 months sun drying it, which was what we have. That level of Shilajit has a way level of calmness and helpfulness to the body and brain and mind, and help someone's psychology than they would find from 95 to 99% of the Shilajit supply in the world, which is mixed, low altitudes, or it's been heat purified as opposed to 6 months sun dried, and heat purifying kills the medicine. These things, when you lose these potency and purity, the medicine is not going to work as much. But I'll be straight, like the Shilajit I was using before we got our batch a year ago, I was using Shilajit from the internet. And it was good, taking 20-30% of my stress levels and giving myself energy, 40-50% extra energy off these ones from the internet. But I've seen some stuff on the internet which is total absolute rubbish. Like, I don't know how
Natural ramps.
I wouldn't go near to it. I wouldn't go near to it. But a lot of the ones that will flow like liquid, and it's just a whole lot of rubbish.
Just go to TikTok and watch the most popular videos.
So you can see, like, a lot of companies out there don't have good product, but they have good marketing, and people just fall for it. It only takes a little bit of Shilajit to feel something, to be fair. So that's how they get away with it, because people are feeling something. But to get the real medicine, you really need to go to a proper Shilajit company who has to spend time. And that Shilajit level will help your psychology.
How about you, my friend? How do you get introduced to Shilajit?
Actually, Abid. Yeah, Abid.
So Shilajit Global was the first Shilajit you tried?
OGX.
Yeah.
Or was it OGX?
OGX now, yeah.
Why are you wearing Salahuddin Shilajit then? T-shirt. Undercover.
Yeah, it was Abby actually. Abby rang me up and mentioned to me that he has this product and I should try it out. And he mentioned to me about the mental health aspect of it, which he knows I was stressed at myself for my mental health battles. So, okay, let me just give it a go.
When was that?
That would have been last year, wasn't it, Abby? Last year's winter, I think it was. Yeah, it was in December 2023.
That long ago.
Yeah. So I bought it from him and I finished it in March.
I tried to give it him for free, and he's like, no, I've got to pay for it.
I'll take my money.
Okay, I'll charge you double.
Which you did.
I charge you double.
If you like, I'll charge you double. Well, I believe him support my friend, so I mean.
How much was it? A 50 gram one? Or
50 gram one, yeah. I paid full price.
And it lasted you like 2 months, you said?
No.
You didn't pay full price.
I did. He tried it with discount, but it didn't go through. The guy messed up, he said to me.
Okay.
So I paid full price. That wasn't a problem for me. I didn't really matter to me.
50 grand.
Huh?
50 grand.
Yeah. 50 gram, yeah. And I use it from December into March.
So like 3.
You still got some left, right?
Sorry?
You still have some left?
No, it's finished now.
Oh.
Finished now.
You know the guy to talk to.
Another guy. But yeah, it was awesome. I was taking like twice and 3 times a day. So most times, sometimes I get taken once a day. So you can imagine the last good spell. So I really pushed that, and something I share with Kevin, my friend. He takes something as well.
Did you see any changes by taking Shilajit?
My skin changed.
Skin?
You want to buy it?
No, my skin texture.
Oh.
It was not white.
You guy. Wait, he was white. He was white.
My skin became more smoother and radiant as well.
I see.
Again, I think everyone has a bit of everything in their life at some given time. You know, everyone goes a bit psychotic. Everyone gets a bit down. Everyone gets a little bit depressed, anxiety, etc., etc., etc. But again, it's when these traits become so prevalent that it becomes a disorder and it affects your social life. So, but if you can use these disorders, traits. Again, the word disorder is very important. We don't want it to become a disorder. If we can take something like Shilajit and we have these psychology traits, and that Shilajit can help us to become that better person with them traits, that we can start to make bigger and better moves. Like a narcissistic CEO taking Shilajit could end up, being right at the top of the top 500, potentially. Someone with borderline could end up doing great charity and, getting lots of donations, etc., 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 because his emotion gets so deep in charity work. So what I'm trying to drop at is that let's understand the difference between different psychologies, traits, and disorder, and how organic supplements can help that. So, last few words, Martin Torey Martin.
All right. So you mentioned you touched on the wording disorder, and you changed it to traits, and I smiled. And the reason why I did that because one thing we didn't discuss was the power of words. The power of words, we call them spells. As you know, in English language, we spell a word. So we spell a word, which is called spell, which is a magical thing. Words have a powerful effect on our bodies. Now, I'll give you a research done in Japan. A scientist, can't remember his name. He put a glass with water in there. If you didn't know, waters are actually made of crystals.
Okay.
Right? So, liquid crystal, basically. So what he did was he played the Quran.
It's a crystal glass.
And he said Bismillah into the water. The composition of the water changed. Its pH changed, and the water changed shape under the microscope. Versus the water which didn't have a word spoken to it. Now, why I brought it up? Because the power of words can affect us because we too have about 70 to 80% made of water in our body. Yes, of course, if you pop my arm, I won't leak water out because I have plasma. Plasma will stop that.
Gravity.
Yes, I've seen that experiment done with the plants.
Yes.
They had 2 plants. One of them they spoke bad words, so they just cursed at it, and the other one they was saying like good words. And in general, the one that they spoke the good words at grew faster, grew better.
Yeah.
More lush. That's right.
You become what you think.
You become what you say. Actually,
You say, or you think.
yes,
Maybe you say from thinking.
I
first,
agree with
but
you.
actually
I agree with you.
It starts from thinking first.
Yes, I agree with you.
But then the saying is
It's
try
even
and
more powerful.
concrete it.
Yeah, it's
Again, law of attraction.
yeah, exactly.
Everything comes back to
Manifestation.
Yeah.
Law of attraction, manifest. Exactly. So if you say disorder, then you are becoming disorder. If you say, you know what, it's a part of who I am, and I love that about me, it's because I'm unique, then you change the entire spectrum of your entire body. Your body molecule will change. Your mind will change.
But those people who are not self-aware, I think, Nick, about that point as a young man, if you're not self-aware of your issues, then how could that person be helped?
They can be helped, but they should start with themselves. They need to study themselves, because people that basically are in self-control all the time, how they started that is by studying themselves. Even like when it comes to speech, if you study yourself, let's say even now we're doing a podcast, I'm probably gonna be studying myself because I'm gonna be editing the video. I'm gonna see where my flows at, like when I stutter, when I use filler words, and I'm trying to build up that. So coming back to being in self-control, I think studying yourself should be the first step.
But to be self-controlled, you have to be self-aware in the first place.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Self-aware, self-control. So whenever you say bad things, or whenever you do something negative, reflect on yourself and ask yourself, is this beneficial for me? And then act upon it.
But that's the key thing, is that without self-awareness, no matter what you do, what you take, what you say, what you pray, you need that level of self-awareness, because if you're not self-aware of any negativity, you can't create a negativity into a positivity. So self-awareness is something very important, and it's unfortunate. I've met a lot of people in life where you talk to them and you can just see, oh my God, this guy doesn't see what he's doing. This guy hasn't got a clue, and this guy keeps doing the same thing.
Basically lost. Lost soul.
I think sometimes age is something that contributes to that a lot, because when we're younger, we're not as educated on these things.
Trust me, I've met many lost souls during uni as well, because they go through life without a goal.
So self-awareness is very key. So any last words, guys?
Yeah, self-awareness and self-control, as Nick said, I believe they both are cyclical to each other. So they basically work hand in hand. You cannot have one with the other, because to have self-awareness, you need to have self-control. To have self-control, you need to have self-awareness. They're cyclical. So I can see what, from my perspective, that you need both. I use the words carefully, because to be aware of something, you have to have an element of control to understand that awareness, to apply that awareness to yourself, and vice versa. So you have to understand both points. You both are making this right. When you combine together, you do have that self-awareness, and that self-control comes hand in hand. If you don't have self-control, self-awareness doesn't make sense. And if you don't have self-control, if you don't have self-awareness, self-control, and the other one doesn't make sense. So you need both.
Vice versa.
Yeah, they marry each other perfectly well, and that's where the strength lies, in being, existing in the moment. That's a powerful thing.
It is indeed.
Demonstrate.
Bye, Shilajit. Good night.
Going back to our guest, is what you focus on, which is mental health, depression, mindfulness, and coaching, burnout syndrome.
So basically, when let's put it down to a more simpler form. So when people are like, especially men, because we know men don't like to talk about our problems openly to each other, because we think that we can handle our own business.
With your binary.
Yes, we think binary.
What if you're like sort of one day a girl, one day a boy? What if you identify yourself as a?
You're confusing yourself.
No, this is what they say outside, right? I'm not confusing myself. I'm talking about what the TV says, right? So I'm not me, man. I know I'm man's man.
Well, so the fact is, when you are suffering from any form of mental health in the spectrum of depression, anxiety, and burnout, you're not going to talk about it. You're going to deny it, because it's a stigmatism to talk about it. It's like saying, I'm weak, I'm not good enough. You're having these negative self-talks, and you're having these doubts that rampage to your mind. So you're not going to seek a coach, a mentor, or a therapist, or CBT, or somatic therapy, or whatever you call it. You're not going to have those, because you're afraid. to be stigmatized that you are weak and you're not good enough to do what you to perform your tasks. So if that's the case, I would suggest to anyone who's listening to take Shilajit, because that will give you the emotional quotient to balance out your mind, your mental loud noise, the white noise in the mind. It balances out, because what happens is it has very good gut health. So when you drink it into your gut, it creates probiotics and prebiotics. It increases the serotonin level, which is a hormone in your stomach that goes into your brain and makes you feel more calm and relaxed. So that allows you to accept more positive suggestions to go get help. Because if you're in that loud noise of being in that moment of depressed or anxious or the burnout, you're not going to seek help. So you're going to keep spiraling downwards and downwards and downwards to the point, crash, and then everything falls apart. And you say, whoa, how did I get here? And that's a problem with a lot of people, especially men. So I would suggest taking Shilajit or some form of supplement that support that. If not Shilajit, go sauna. That also does the same thing. Except Shilajit is a lot more long lasting than sauna. Sauna you have to go every day.
At the moment.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things. You gotta do the work. There's no point saying, I want this, and you don't do nothing about it. I'm not saying to force the issue. Just naturally work with the grain, not against the grain. So we all know who we are as individuals. So I'm not saying that it's not okay to stay quiet. It isn't okay to stay quiet. It's okay to talk to somebody. It's okay to ask for support.
Get up and solve the issue you already have.
Exactly.
It's not gonna disappear.
It's not gonna go away. Exactly. And life is about challenge. It's about work. So you gotta do the work. You gotta build up mental muscles to overcome whatever trials that have been thrown your way. And we know this from biblical and Quranic stories. And anyone who was a hero have to overcome that struggle, because life is struggle. And to feel weak is to perceive yourself as weak. And if you perceive weakness, then you are weak. I'm sorry, but it's facts. But if you are weak, then seek help. Because it's okay to be weak, because we're not meant to be strong at all times. We're human. We're not gods. So in this situation, I'll say, as a coach, the way I help my client is I will speak to my client on the individualistic level and get to know them as a person, and then work with them in the way they need my help, not the way I want them to help get my help.
Yeah.
Because it's not about me.
Coaching, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not about me. It's about them. It's about what they want. And at the end of the day, I'm here to help them build up into the person they want to be.
Sure.
And that's the key of being a burnout coach.
And obviously, all the descriptions that people can get a link towards you, and they can reach out to you by email, etc., etc. So we'll leave that in the descriptions. So please feel free.
I'll put it on the screen.
Yes, there we go. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that it's important to look after your health. Right? What you eat is a big factor of mental health. The food industry that we have today, we just touch on pharmaceutical industry. We haven't discussed the Bill Gates issue, which is the foods. The food kills us. It causes cancer, high blood pressure, diabetics. It causes Alzheimer's. It causes Parkinson's disease. It causes everything you can think of this time. All come from one source, food. And I call it food stuff, not food, because if you think of it, I'll give you another analogy. If you buy KFC chicken, or you eat a beef burger, there's a hormone in the meat of the animal. But when the animal is scared, this is what's all about Islam is we call the halal meat. The Muslims, what they do, the animal does not see the knife. The animal is very calm and relaxed, and then they get cut. However, when you slaughter an animal, in the sense that they live in a very poor condition, the animal is riddled with depression.
Just to touch on that. If you go on YouTube and type in Texas, a Muslim guy doing qurbani or slaughtering, he's a revert to Islam, and he basically says Bismillah to the sheep, and he calms them down. I can't remember some surahs from the Quran or something, but the sheep start to calm down. They relax. He covers the ears covers the eyes with the ears. He doesn't let them see the blade, and it's almost as if like by nature they know that they're to die, but they're relaxed, and that's how he slaughters them. So going back to your point, yeah.
Precisely. It's
the fear that happens when they get stunned.
Adrenaline,
shot, the adrenaline goes to the body.
And it goes into their muscles.
That's right.
And that's what we call anxiety, because anxiety is actually a chemical. It's not a mental thing. Depression is also chemical. It's not a mental thing. We all call it mental, but it's not mental. It comes from the stomach, from the gut, and it goes into your brain and all through your muscles. Have you ever felt anxiety when if your muscles stiff, your hands are tense, you feel this weird sensation through your muscles that goes to your body? That is what anxiety is. It's actually a chemical thing that's pushed to your body. So imagine someone eating that. You're consuming that very thing that's in the animal at the time of death into your own body. So when you wonder, why do I have mental health so easily? That's because you're eating the wrong meat. So we have to understand the concept of what we're dealing with is food. We don't exercise. We don't have positive self-talk. We don't have routines. We have no purpose. As Nick was pointing earlier, we're lost souls. And in my industry, I've exposed people who have purpose. They have work to do. But sometimes when the work becomes too much, they turn off the purpose, and they're all over the place, and productivity goes down. And what happens? They start flirting with depression. When you have depression, what happens? Your value depreciates in yourself, and that
Flirting with depression, I like that.
it is because it's not depression yet.
Value depreciates.
Yes, of course, it depreciates value in yourself as a person. And the point we're trying to do is to try to increase their value so that it appreciates over time.
Yeah.
And then they can increase productivity in themselves, in their work and in their life, and they find a balance.
Yeah. Obviously, these chemicals that the doctors give really don't help, do they? I mean, they zombify most people. But yeah, I suppose in certain cases when someone's really extreme, if it does cut the edge off them and the brain retrains in that positive manner, that's not the worst thing. But in general, I think for people who want to keep mindful, who want to have a good brain, organic supplements or organic foods, etc., whether it be Shilajit or Moringa, Ashwagandha, sea moss, these things are a much better choice than going to your local doctor and taking their poisons.
But to add to that, doctors are very brilliant, I would say, at diagnosing your illnesses. They need them for that reason, and I believe that and surgeons. But when it comes to GPs, they lack the understanding of what the human body needs. I'm not a doctor, I understand that. So people could misquote me, say, "No, you're not a doctor. What do you know?"
We don't even have GPs in Greece.
Look at that.
Straight doctors and surgeons.
There you go.
When I came here back in 2018, I was like,
Wow.
What is that? What is a GP for? Because at the end they send you to a doctor. It's not.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Might as well go to the
I think it kind of makes
emergency.
sense. I think it kind of makes sense because they're practicing on general health. So you need someone to if you have a problem with your mind, the GP will then say, look, you know what, I'm a little bit trained on this. If it's not too extreme, I can give you this to go ahead and take it. Actually, your thing is too extreme for me, go see a psychologist. Otherwise, you might say, okay, I think it's to do with your nose, your ear, ENT, what it's called, ENT, whatever, ears, nose, and throat, ENT, I think it's called. So he knows a little about ENT, he knows a little bit about bowels, he knows a little bit about everything. So the general practitioner, I think where it's a problem where the general practitioner gives some scenario or believes in something, but his knowledge is not enough and he's given the wrong thing. That's where it can be a problem. But generally speaking, the reason you have general practitioners is because they'll guide you if they can fix it themselves or help to fix it.
I agree with
God's will, as opposed to, now this is too extreme for me, you need to go to a specialist. Makes sense?
I agree with that. That is what they're built on. But I would say from my personal experience, I started to have mental health extremely in 2014. My first time I had it. Now, what was interesting enough was that my mental health was actually not the main problem I was having. It was diabetes. Diabetes was the number one thing that caused my mental health to go wild. I was diagnosed with severe depression and anxiety, but not diabetes.
Yeah.
It was a Nigerian doctor that looked at me and listened carefully. And I realized that GPs aren't the best, ones I've experienced so far.
Steve.
I'm sorry? No. They're very good at listening. GPs not great at listening, but I've experienced. But this doctor saved my life.
Yeah. I had a Nigerian doctor.
He saved my life. Because his doctor was a teacher of doctors, as it is.
Yeah.
He taught doctors. He's an old man, very old man. He looked at my situation, looked at my chart, listened to what I was describing about my mental health as you may have it. And then he said to me, I need to go get a blood work. I think we may be prescribing the wrong medications. So I went to do my blood work. I was diabetic.
Oh, you didn't know?
No, I did not know.
Oh, I see.
Did not know. So my mental health my diabetes was masking as mental health. So I was feeling weak. I was feeling depressed, feeling low, all that stuff. Sometimes I would pass out. This guy is, no, I think we probably get the wrong medication. Now my mental health is exasperated because I'm taking tablets. And I'm hearing that actually, no, you have diabetes as well, which causes your heart to go funny and your kidney to go funny. So we need to look into this.
It's crazy because I have a similar story.
There you go. Look at that.
Because it's funny how like mental health comes from something physical.
Yes, isn't it?
I'll give you my example. I used to have a knee pain a while ago, like 4 years ago, I think. It's been 4 years now. And it started from the leg, and then the pain moved all the way to my back. So I went to different doctors. I went to a handful. One doctor said I needed to inject my knee with some fluids. So basically buy his injections. First doctor I go to, yeah, buy my injection. He didn't say that, but he said that in his own terms. I'm like, yeah, sure, let me go get a second opinion. Now to a public surgeon. That's all happens in Greece. And the guy tells me I have a ripped meniscus. I need to do a surgery on my leg. From what? I didn't have any injury or anything. So I went to this doctor, I went to that doctor. Basically everyone's saying like different stuff. I wasted a whole year just talking to different doctors, and everyone's saying different stuff.
Different stuff. Look at that.
Yeah. And only from that, combining all the paracetamols and ibuprofens I used to take, because without like medication I couldn't sleep. So every day, imagine every day, 1 or 2 paracetamols every day for a whole year.
That's not good, man.
It messes up with your mental health.
Of course it would. And it's short in lifespan.
But yeah, after a while, I went to an African doctor in Greece. He helped my auntie with her back. So I went to him, and he basically told me to buy this machine called the inverted table. Basically, like you lay on it and it turns you like 90 degrees. So you just lay flat on like this. To be fair, it didn't help, but it gave me like a purpose, because the only thing he told me to do is exercise the leg and use that machine. To be fair, it didn't help, but when I went to him the second time, I told him what happened. It didn't help, but I still have the pain. And the guy actually told me to stand up and walk to him. And within like 2 minutes, he said, it's not your back or your knee, it's your feet, how you walk. And that was it. Like, you know how inside of the feet, they're like all the nerves.
Yes.
And basically I had
Did he see your footprint? Did he check your footprint?
he told me to go, because he didn't have the machinery to check it.
Okay.
He told me to go to a doctor that has it. And it ended up being that. So I ordered like some, what's the thing you put inside of the shoe? Sole.
Insole.
The insole, yeah.
So you're basically super pronated, basically. That's what we call it.
Yeah, I wasn't like stepping with the whole foot.
No, you're right. You step inside.
No, it's the exactly opposite of that.
Overpronate it's called.
Overpronate, yeah.
Overpronate, yeah.
On the other side.
This side, yeah. Overpronate, I see that.
And from that, little by little, the pain just went away.
Because your now balances out.
Yeah. But the thing is, for like 1.5 years, 15 months?
Something simple as that. Didn't it?
Yeah, and for 15 months I was taking drugs every day, and
Look at that.
my mental health wasn't the strongest, to be fair.
Of course. Physical health can affect mental health.
I was like crying at nights and stuff. I was like, damn, is this my life now? No one knows what I have.
Wow.
Yeah, my knee was similar. They told me it was ligament, and it was torn meniscus, and I kept on stretching the wrong way around because I thought I'd stretch the ligament out and try to get it in that Chinese sitting position or the Islamic prayer position, and actually that was the worst thing I could do, and I carried it on for like 6 months. I torn it 3 times to part a bucket handle, to the point where even you can't avoid surgery because it's so extreme. But initially, before that, I could have avoided the surgery, and like Nick, they were trying to tell me to take surgery, whatever, injections, etc. But all of it's not that. They just help a little bit. But yeah, because I was misdiagnosed. I missed treated myself through that misdiagnosis, and now my knees are not good now because it led to slight arthritis, as they say, and it makes it hard for me to be mobile as I was before. But definitely, that chronic pain has really been helped by Shilajit, helped a lot to edge that off, and arthritis has been one of the great things I've seen from a lot of the customers we have. It really helps them. But yeah, going back to the point of misdiagnosis, etc., it's a big issue.
To be fair, it helped me appreciate life more because now I don't have the pain. I'm free. I felt free